On today's Momentum Monday, we're talking about accountability, the art of accountability. Did you know there was an art to accountability? Well, today let's find out. Okay, everybody, welcome. And today we're going to learn something new as the whole goal is on Momentum Monday, Supercharged with Emily, the podcast. It's all about learning new things. But before I go any further, I want to remind you, depending on where you're watching this from, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching it on as a podcast, please write a review, or if on Facebook or wherever you are, comment, like. So please engage with the post or on LinkedIn. I want to welcome you on all the platforms that you could be watching from so that you can engage with me, engage with the podcast. So I invite you to do that right now before we go one step further. Okay, excellent. Now, my sound effects have disappeared today. I found them. I just found them just in time. Yay! we cannot have a podcast without our sound effects. It just does not work. That is the Ecamm way. That's correct. So yes, again, welcome to today's talk, and we're going to jump right into this topic, and I want you to consider it more like a kind of fireside chat, Supercharged with Emily podcast today. And the question I put to you is this: who is holding you accountable? Who is holding you accountable? And the focus is the art of accountability. The art of accountability. And you might say, why is it an art? Or what makes it an art as opposed to just whatever it is? And it's an art because it is. It's something you have to be creative about. And it's also a science of sorts as well. But I call it the art because it's something that you want to master. It's something that you want to manage and be able to have a certain amount of dominion over this accountability process. Hence, it is an art because you want to, it requires a certain level of finesse. And so, asking you the question, who is holding you accountable? I would like you to answer it. Put it in a chat, put it in a comment. Let me know, give me a reply. Let me know who is holding you accountable. And you may say, for what? Well, for your goals, for your plans, for the things that you said you're going to do, and the things that you want to accomplish or desire to accomplish, and they're out there and you've shared them with somebody. And the very first step of sharing them with someone begins the accountability process. Really, just putting it out there starts it, because then someone can follow up with you and say, well, what about that thing you were talking about some time ago? So it's a really important concept to take seriously and certainly not to take lightly. And so that's why we want to definitely put the spotlight on it today. With that being said, now we're going to talk. We're going to have a little chat. We're not going to do a whole lot of slides today. We're not doing a big old masterclass like we did last week. So I encourage you to go back and watch the prior episode where we talked about time-strapped entrepreneurs and time management tips and techniques for prioritizing your priorities. And I did a whole masterclass on that, which really covered a lot of ground. And it's also very much linked to the idea of holding oneself accountable and who is holding you accountable. So I would like the very first person on the list to be you, yourself. You have to first hold yourself accountable before maybe someone else can. And so that's the first step. But usually we need support in the process of this whole accountability process, because it is a process. This art is a process. And just like anything that you learn and anything that you have to get better at doing, understanding the steps of the process allows it to really take hold and allow you to be more effective in doing so. And I like to make analogies with my music as a violinist, the process of learning a new piece of music, learning a new technique, kind of getting better at a technique, all the things involved in what it takes to produce music. And when I say produce it, I mean create it through yourself, not necessarily produce a record or something of that sort, but more so create the art of music. And we definitely call music an art because it's artistry and how you interpret a sound and how you convey it to someone and the impact it has when they hear it, when your sound reaches their ears and what happens. And so realizing that for it to transmit, a lot of things have to happen in between, so many steps. And it's incredible the amount of steps, even though the transmission takes place almost instantly in nanoseconds, if you will. Whatever the speed of sound is, that's how quickly it is. And so, but so much had to happen before that took place. So much had to happen. So the same thing, if you kind of take it back now and apply it to your business or apply it to an endeavor that you have, and you might be saying, why is accountability such a big old process? It's because there's so many steps involved. So it starts with a commitment to yourself and whatever you're setting out to do. And then it follows up with the idea of counting. So accountability is about a number. It suggests some quantification, some if it's numerification, I don't know if that's a word, but just making a numeral. A numeral is involved, a number is involved in quantifying. So it is a numerical process. That's the word I was looking for. Numerical, exactly. Okay, so when you hold yourself accountable, when you hire an accountant, for example, what do you want that person to do? They need to be able to count. That would help. Number two, they need to be honest. They need to be reliable. They need to be someone who is diligent, careful, trustworthy, full of integrity, ability to really organize information and be competent, know what they're doing, understanding the checks and balances process. Well, all of those things that you apply to maybe a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement with your business, you also apply to the concept of keeping yourself on track. And so it's not, as you might say, well, I don't have to give a report to anyone of like a profit and loss statement of my actions per se, or I don't need to present some kind of report card on what my goals are to anyone. And so that high level accountability, like let's say, for example, at the end of the year or at whatever part of the tax year, where you have to submit a tax filing to the Internal Revenue Service or to whatever tax agencies in your country or wherever you're watching from, you have different tax authorities. And with that comes reporting, comes filing, comes deadlines, comes due dates, all these things with which you have to comply in order to not go to jail or to not have some kind of legal challenge on your hands. So because of that, the system kind of requires it and also almost forces you to do it. And the penalties for non-compliance are extremely high and very painful. Hence, most people comply. However, when it comes to setting your goals and going about your own plan for your business, there's no such level of onerousness hanging over you. No one's saying that if you don't comply, this is going to happen. No one's saying if you don't do this, then you're going to end up someplace horrible. But guess what? When you set goals, especially those that are worthwhile, and I will assume that most of them are, we're going to just assume today that they are all indeed worthwhile goals and indeed worthy of your time and pursuing, that if they're that important, then they could change your life, they could improve your life, they could take your lifestyle or enhance the quality of your life, maybe to a whole other level that is worth pursuing. And if you deem it to be so, then what's more important than that? Okay, so why do we have to have this Damocles dagger or sword hanging over our heads, to be dramatic about it, when it comes to filing a tax return or doing something like that. We all know we have to do that. But when it comes to holding ourselves accountable for our own goals, we're like, oh, well, no one, there's no punishment involved if I don't do it. But there is a punishment involved if you don't do it. And it is disappointing yourself, letting down yourself, and letting down those to whom you promised that you would do this. That is not good. Not at all. Not good. We need a sound to go to that. No, not. Even though that's a happy sound. But the results of what I just said are not a happy thing. So who is holding yourself accountable? Let's ask ourselves this question. Let's ask ourselves this question. Who is holding you accountable? Again, it starts with you. Number 2, maybe someone who you've shared this with and you're like, okay, I would like you to keep track with me over the next few days or few weeks or few months. Maybe someone who's on a similar journey to you, and you can kind of keep each other company in the process. And the whole art of accountability is really respecting the fact that you need to be held accountable in some way. Do you have a paper that tracks? Do you have like a goal tracker? Do you have like a system of how you monitor whether you're doing something on a regular basis? Like, so right now, one of the things you can hold me accountable for, and kind of going back to my whole violin illustration, is I'm learning a particular piece of music, and I have set out to learn it. The goal was to learn it by the end of this year. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, and that's not as important. What is most important is that I'm going through the process in a diligent way to get closer and closer to the goal of learning the piece in its entirety. And chances are, if I keep up at the rate I'm going now, yes, I will. I should get there. And I will get there a lot closer. I will be a lot closer to that goal than I was 6, 7, 8 months ago. So for that, I say amen and praise the Lord. So that is what we have to be able to say. But sometimes we fight with the process, like, oh, this is so challenging to do. This is really stressing me out. This is causing me so much anxiety. This is causing me so much difficulty. And we put all our energy into where the challenge is, as opposed to putting the energy to the resolution of the problem, to a solution. And that's where the art of accountability comes in, because you cannot default to dissolving into, I don't know how to do it, so I just won't bother. I don't know how to do it, so I'll just stay stuck. I don't know how to do it, so I'm just going to sit here. Okay, that is all unacceptable and very unartistic. The art of accountability requires us to acknowledge there is an obstacle, acknowledge there is maybe a roadblock or something maybe impeding progress, and being proactive to circumnavigate the challenge and overcome it. Not being derailed by it, not being stumped by it or stopped by it, but you may be slowed down by it, yes. You may be challenged by it, yes. And it may be irritating, absolutely. But once you get through those human emotions and then get your focus back on what needs to happen, you're like, okay, now let's work on a plan to make this no longer a problem. And that is a part of the accountability process. And I will continue to highlight that word process, because that's what it is. It's not just a thing that just happens. It involves steps. It involves steps because there are varying degrees of accountability. Sometimes you do need to cut yourself some slack. That's what it is. Sometimes you need to get tighter and add a little bit more pressure where you're slacking off too much. So it's being able to adjust to what is needed and just to the situation at a specific point in time that will allow you to kind of make that progress that you're seeking. So I hope this is resonating with you. If it is, hit the like button. If it's resonating, write a comment. Say yes, resonating, okay? Or something of that effect, because we really need to understand, that this is really reaching home, that this is hitting home somewhere, somehow, with somebody. Okay, so a few more points I'd like to highlight regarding accountability. So, as entrepreneurs, as you know, here on the Supercharge with Emily podcast and Momentum Monday, it's all about building momentum for your week, for your business, for whatever project you're working on to help you push on through and get to the other side of your goal and what you're trying to accomplish. And that takes time, it takes energy, and it takes planning and the ability to ration energy because our energy levels are not always the same. They're not consistent, they're not stable, and they're not dependable because as human beings, we have highs, we have lows, we have ups and downs, and we have to make allowances for that. And I talked about that last time regarding creating buffer zones into your schedule, having how to prioritize people. Okay, having the ability to prioritize. Now, if this weren't live, I'd probably edit that, but we don't edit. We go live, but we just flow with it. Oh, we do. Holding myself accountable. That's right. So yeah, so with that being said, we want to really just take the time to say, okay, let me step back from this situation. Let me evaluate it with a bit more clarity of mind, and then you can make a better decision, because what this boils down to is making better decisions all along the way. And when you are holding yourself accountable, that means that's another aspect of this process, is that you are making sure that you're making better decisions for yourself. You are being responsible. That's what accountability is. So you're being able to stand up for the decisions that you make in your business and what you choose and decide so that you can move forward. Okay, that's the idea with that. So with the whole process, what I was starting to say before, and I think I kind of got a little sidetracked, going back to the point of, as entrepreneurs, with our goals, with our plans, we need support. And even though you're the number one person holding yourself accountable, having other people on the journey with you is helpful. And that's why I launched the Supercharge Club, which many of you are aware of. And it was really with the intention of creating that accountability opportunity that many times does not tend to exist. And with the Supercharge Club, it's to help people focus on what their goals are, understand what the entrepreneurial journey entails, be accountable for what they decide to do, and have a community that they can bounce ideas off. And with that, allowing you to really feel like you're getting where you need to go, having the tools that you need. So that was the whole purpose of starting that club. And so that's the superchargeclub.com that I invite you to check out. And for those who are seeking to have, and this date is off, so just kind of ignore that. For those seeking to really get that extra level of support with the group coaching and really focus on your specific business concepts, then you might want to check out the Supercharge CEO. And to visit the Supercharge CEO, all you have to do is go to the superchargeclub.com/join CEO. That's what that is. And it's more precisely specific to your business, where we really kind of take the time to apply all of these things to your specific business. So if you think this could help you and add that extra level of accountability for your entrepreneurial journey, I invite you to check it out at the superchargeclub.com. So that is really one of the key things I want to share. Also, to let you know, as far as an upcoming event that we are having, just hold on. Let me share this with you as well. Hold on. I think the slide is, what happened to my slide? I don't know. Let me find it. It's here somewhere. Oh, this is not my day, but it kind of is. Hold on, everybody. Everything's backwards today. Back up the train. So I'll show that at the end. But what's happening is a wonderful two-day challenge that I'll be launching on October 24th and 25th. It's a free challenge. It's an opportunity to do two key things that's really important for entrepreneurs, and that is to focus and know what to focus on, have their priorities. And I can't highlight this enough for entrepreneurs because it can be a huge challenge to not know what to focus on when you need to focus on it. So here I'm going to bring it up and show it to you so that you can see. And hopefully you will find that useful and you might want to consider joining this. So here we have the Distraction Elimination for Entrepreneurs Challenge. Yay! And so this challenge is all about sharpening your focus and simplifying your priorities. It's going to be live on Zoom, and save the calendar, mark the dates or save the dates for October 24th and 25th. The first day we were talking about how to focus, how to eliminate distractions, which as entrepreneurs, that's the first step in your accountability journey to do that. The second thing is priorities, how to choose priorities, the process of choosing priorities. And we've had various podcasts on the topic of prioritizing your priorities, but this is us taking it a step further and really know how to choose them and kind of doing an exercise on how to do that. And so when you put these two things together, you're laying the groundwork for the next step of growing your business and refining your business model and all of those other details, which I will be presenting at another point in time. But this is the ground zero place where you want to eliminate distractions. And a lot of people, I think one of the biggest pain points that a lot of entrepreneurs have is getting easily distracted by the barrage and the myriad of things that there are to do all at one time. Everything kind of hitting you at once, and you're like, where do I start? What do I do? Where do I go? And it can be extremely overwhelming, extremely disorienting, and very discouraging. Hence, with that, you need the accountability. You need some tips from someone who's been there and done that on this journey, continues to do it actually, and has learned really the hard way that if you do not do this early on, you will lose a lot of valuable time, you will lose your energy, and you're going to lose your money. So if you want to save your money, make more money, and do it in a way that's more sustainable, then eliminating distractions is one of the first steps in that process. So I hope you'll sign up for that coming up October 24th and 25th. So that's what I have for you today on this topic of accountability. I hope you found it helpful to you as you kind of think about it some more and put the extra effort into it to really ask yourself, are you having the level of accountability that you could have for whatever it is you decide? So whether it is joining a club to get support or having a friend assist you or somebody that you feel comfortable with, whatever you choose, as long as you do something that you feel can give you results and you can take the journey with someone who really understands what the journey entails and can kind of guide you through that process. So if you're an entrepreneur, I encourage you to check out the superchargeclub.com because that's what that is all about. So in the meantime, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me, and I look forward to seeing you back again next time. I will have some wonderful guests on. I actually am going to invite one of my very own accountability partners on to come and share a little bit about how we engage with each other and how we interact on the process of keeping each other accountable. I have a wonderful accountability partner and I want to share her with you. So stay tuned. It's a surprise to find out who she is and how we engage with each other in terms of keeping each other accountable on a specific project that we each are working on, and having like this parallel track, but doing different things, but using similar systems. So come back for that and you won't want to miss it. So I want to thank you all again for being here with me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Don't forget, subscribe, like, share, write a review, do all the things to show that you're enjoying the podcast and you want to hear more of it. Tell a friend to tell a friend and to tell a friend. Okay, bye guys, and see you next time.